If we look at today's readings in the view of current events, we can see and remind ourselves that we have a very Western point of view. If you look at the Middle East in Christ's times and even in our times, the people looked at themselves in terms of family and tribe and shifting around. Israel itself was a tribal nation. If you remember, they spent time in Egypt. They were actually a captive nation in Babylon, which is modern-day Iraq. And the nations of the Middle East were basically drawn up by the Western powers after World War I. And a lot of these nations are constructs, and I think that's a lot of the problems we see. Violence in Jesus' time was common. Distrust of people outside the tribe, outside the family was a very common thing. Even human sacrifice was not completely unheard of, so we see it finds its way even into our scriptures with the story of Abraham. Today we would see that as something very barbaric, but we're talking from a different viewpoint, a viewpoint of a people that we think of family and nation. And now we talk about a world confederation of nations, and yet violence and evil is still present in the world. And Jesus came as Son of God to confront that, to overcome that evil, to overcome the violence in the world. And he knew that that mission of his meant he had to die. Evil introduced death in the world, and he knew that death would ultimately come to him, but he carried on his mission. He spread his mission of love, and he realized he couldn't sweep his arm out and change the world, change humanity, but he reached each person one by one, planting the seed of love, and watched that seed grow and spread. Even today, that seed is still growing and spreading, but it hasn't reached all the world and all people, and people all have not responded. Certainly, there are many Christians and believers, but violence and evil still confront us. The gospel story of the Transfiguration, yes, it was for the apostles to strengthen them and encourage them, but I think it was toward Jesus too, a way for him to receive positive feedback from his Father, encouragement with the appearance of Moses and Elijah, that the seed he was planting would be good, the work that he was doing was worthwhile. For after all, he was a human being, and he too needed the same courage and push that all of us need. So I think that is the message of the readings today, that our faith, our love has to be extended out to others, one by one person at a time. It's not something that is going to miraculously spread to thousands and thousands at a time. Christianity is a faith, knowing God, believing in him, is done one by one. Each person individually comes to know, love, and believe in God.